Let me tell you about Linda. She's 62 years old, had a successful career in corporate finance, peaked at $180,000 a year. She worked hard for 40 years, always made good money, never really struggled to pay her bills. She did everything society told her to do. And now she's facing retirement, and the math is absolutely brutal. She just calculated that she'll have to work until she's at least 70, maybe 72, or she'll need to cut her lifestyle by about 60%. After 4 decades of solid income, she's looking at either working well past normal retirement age or living on what feels like scraps. Here's what she told a friend recently, and this quote stuck with me. "I made every single payment on time for 40 years. I was never irresponsible. I never struggled. And somehow I still lost." If that doesn't terrify you at least a little bit, you're not paying attention. Here's the thing about the money mistake that ruins retirements. It's not about not saving enough, though that's part of it. It's way more subtle and way more devastating than that. And you're probably making this exact mistake right now, today, without even realizing it. I'm Jade, and I've spent years analyzing what actually separates comfortable retirements from desperate ones. And the pattern is always the same. It's one subtle mistake repeated consistently for 40 years. The people who retire comfortably did one thing differently than the people who can't retire, and it wasn't that they made more money. They made the same amount or sometimes less. By the end of this video, you'll see the exact mistake, why it's so common that almost everyone makes it, and how to avoid it before it's too late to fix. If any of this feels relevant to your future, hit that like button and subscribe because we're about to break down the 40-year trap that determines whether you retire in comfort or desperation. The mistake revealed. So here's the mistake, and I'm just going to say it directly. The 40-year money mistake is optimizing for monthly payments instead of total cost. That probably sounds abstract or maybe even obvious when I say it like that, so let me make it extremely concrete because this single mindset destroys more wealth over a lifetime than almost anything else. You're 25 years old, you just got your first real job making $50,000 a year. You need a car. You're looking at 2 options. One car is $25,000, the other is $18,000. The $25,000 car is nicer, newer, has all the features you want. The payment is $420 a month over 72 months. The $18,000 car is fine, reliable, gets you from point A to point B. Payment is $350 a month over 60 months. Your brain immediately focuses on one question. Can I afford $420 a month? And the answer based on your salary is yes, you can, so you buy the nicer car. But that was the wrong question. The right question is what's the total cost and what's the opportunity cost? Let me show you the math. The $25,000 car financed over 72 months at typical rates means you'll pay about $30,240 total. The $18,000 car over 60 months is $21,000 total. The difference is $9,240. But here's where it gets really interesting. You're 25 years old. If you invested that $9,240 difference in a basic index fund and it grows at 8% annually, by the time you're 65, that's $94,000. You didn't just spend an extra $9,240 on a nicer car. You spent $94,000 of your retirement money. But you didn't think that way because you were thinking about monthly payments. This exact pattern repeats everywhere in your financial life. When you're buying a house, the question becomes, can we afford $2,800 a month? Instead of should we buy a $450,000 house or a $350,000 house? When you're buying furniture, it's only $80 a month with 0% financing instead of, do I actually need a $2,000 couch right now? When you're getting a new phone, it's just $40 a month added to my bill instead of that's $1,440. Over 3 years for a phone, everything becomes about the monthly payment. Nothing is about the total cost or the opportunity cost. Here's why this is absolutely catastrophic over 40 years. The average person makes this mistake on 6 to 8 cars over their lifetime. They make it on 2 or 3 houses. They make it on hundreds of finance purchases, everything from furniture to electronics to home improvements. Every major financial decision for 4 decades is filtered through, can I afford the monthly payment instead of what's the total cost? Each individual mistake compounds. Each one robs your future self. By the time you hit retirement, we're talking about millions in lost wealth. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, millions. Let me show you what this actually looks like by comparing 2 people over 40 years. Person A is a monthly payment thinker. Person B is a total cost thinker. They start with the same income at the same age and will track them decade by decade. Same career trajectory, same salary increases, completely different outcomes. This is where the mistake becomes visible. The two paths, 40 years compared. Both of them start at 25 years old, making $50,000 a year. Let's walk through what happens. First decade, ages 25 to 35. Person A buys a $28,000 car at $480 a month, paying $34,560 total over 6 years. At 28, they max out their mortgage approval at $380,000 because they can afford $2,400 monthly. That 30-year mortgage will cost $864,000 total in principal and interest. They finance $18,000 in furniture at 0% because it's only $300 a month. At 32, they upgrade to a $35,000 SUV at $580 monthly. By 35, they're earning $70,000 with a net worth of $45,000, mostly home equity offset by remaining debts. Person B buys an $18,000 used car, pays it off in 4 years, then drives it 2 more years while investing the freed up $200 monthly. At 28, they buy a $280,000 house with a 15-year mortgage. Higher monthly payment, but only $252,000 in total interest versus $584,000 on a 30-year. They furnish gradually with used items for $6,000 cash over 2 years. Keeping their car until 34 means years without payments, investing $480 monthly instead. By 35, same $70,000 salary but $125,000 net worth. Gap at 35, $80,000. Same income, 1 decade, massive difference. Second decade, ages 35 to 45. Person A upgrades to a $520,000 house at 36, restarting a 30-year mortgage. New cars every 5 years, $38,000, then $42,000, then a $45,000 minivan when kids arrive. House feels small, so they add a home equity loan. Salary grows to $95,000, but payments multiply. Car, mortgage, home equity loan, credit cards for upgrades. At 45, net worth is $95,000, mostly home equity and minimal 401k contributions. Person B stays put. Same house, mortgage halfway done. Buys used cars with cash when needed. Kids arrive but no new debt. Income growth to $95,000 flows into investments, now saving 25% annually. Years without car payments mean massive investment contributions. Net worth at 45, $385,000. Gap at 45, $290,000. One person has 4 times the wealth. Third decade, ages 45 to 55. Person A hits peak earnings at $120,000 but still has 20-plus years on their mortgage after refinancing twice. Kids head to college, they borrow $80,000 in Parent Plus loans. Car payments never stopped, actually upgraded to luxury brands because they've earned it. 6 figures in salary, living paycheck to paycheck, promising to catch up on retirement later. Net worth at 55, $180,000. Person B also makes $120,000. Their house was paid off at 43. That freed up housing payment becomes $2,000 monthly into investments. Kids' college covered by 529 plans funded over the years. Still driving, used cars bought with cash. Retirement maxed annually. Net worth at 55, $950,000. Gap at 55, $770,000. Same career, different framework. Final decade, ages 55 to 65. Person A still has 15 years left on the mortgage, still has car payments, still carrying student loan debt, desperately trying to catch up, maybe saving $1,200 monthly now. Can't slow down, can't take risks, has to keep working full-time. At 65, net worth hits $420,000, including home equity. They need $1.5 million to maintain their lifestyle in retirement. 2 options: work until 72 or slash lifestyle by 65%. Person B's mortgage has been gone for 22 years, 0 debt, investing $3,500 monthly without effort because there are no payments. Could have retired at 55, but chose to keep working for enjoyment, not necessity. At 65, net worth is $2.4 million. Retire anytime, maintain lifestyle, travel, help kids, leave inheritance. Final gap, $1,980,000. Identical income over 40 years. The only difference was the question they asked before every financial decision. Monthly payments versus total costs. Why the monthly payment trap is so seductive. So why does everyone fall for this? If it's this destructive, why is it universal? 3 main reasons. First, your brain is wired wrong for this decision. When someone says the payment is only $300 a month, that feels small and manageable. Your brain can handle that number. But $18,000 total cost plus the opportunity cost of what that money becomes over decades feels overwhelming and abstract. We're terrible at long-term thinking. We prefer small, immediate comfort over large, distant consequences every single time. The pain of a monthly payment is spread so thin you don't feel it. The consequence hits 40 years later when you can't retire, and by then it's impossible to fix. Second, every industry weaponizes this psychological weakness. Car dealerships ask what payment can you afford, never what's your budget. Real estate agents say you're approved for $500,000 like that's a recommendation instead of a maximum. Furniture stores plaster 0% financing everywhere and only mention monthly cost. Phone companies bundle the device cost into your bill, so you never see you're paying $1,440 for a phone. Every industry discovered you'll say yes to $50 a month, but no to $1,800 total. So they built entire sales processes around monthly payments instead of value. Third, social pressure makes it worse. Everyone around you maximizes their payment capacity. Your colleague buys that max approval and you feel behind. There's an assumption that $100,000 salary means $400,000 house because that's what your income level does. You're keeping up with people making the same mistake. Your entire peer group optimizes for appearance over wealth, and herd mentality drives everyone toward the financial cliff together. Nobody wants to be the person driving the older car or living in the smaller house, even when that's the mathematically correct choice. Add the deserve it mentality on top, you work hard, get a raise, feel like you've earned an upgrade. The payment fits your new budget, so why not enjoy it? But you're not calculating that you're working 40 years to afford 7 years of car payments. The math doesn't feel real when spread over time. What feels real is the emotional reward of buying something nice. Can I afford it becomes I should have it, and it's an emotional decision disguised as financial logic. Then there's zero financial education. Schools don't teach total cost versus monthly payment thinking. Parents pass down the same mistakes generationally. Society normalized permanent debt so thoroughly that people say everyone has a car payment like it's a law of physics. Nobody teaches opportunity cost. Nobody shows what happens when you make this mistake for 40 years. By the time you figure it out, it's been compounding for decades and recovery is nearly impossible. Here's the truth. This isn't about discipline. Person A wasn't lazy or irresponsible. Person B wasn't superhuman. The difference was framework. Person A asked, can I afford the payment for 40 years? Person B asked, what's the total cost for 40 years? Wrong question. Plus, consistent execution equals consistent wealth destruction. That's the entire trap. The compound, cost calculator. Let me show you what monthly payments actually cost when you run the full numbers. Because most people have never seen this calculation, and it's genuinely shocking. The average American has a car payment for over 40 years of their adult life. The average payment right now is about $550 a month. If you have that payment for 40 years, you'll spend $264,000 total on car payments. That already sounds like a lot. But here's what you actually lost. If instead of making that $550 payment every month, you invested that money at an 8% annual return for 40 years, that becomes $1,900,000. Having a perpetual car payment didn't cost you $264,000. It cost you $1,900,000 of retirement money. That's not an exaggeration, that's just math. Same thing with house size. Let's say you're deciding between a $300,000 house and a $400,000 house. The difference in monthly payment is about $625. Over 30 years, you'll pay an extra $225,000 for the bigger house. But the opportunity cost of investing that $625 a month instead is $750,000. Plus, you're paying higher property taxes, higher insurance, higher utilities, higher maintenance on the bigger house. The total real cost of choosing the slightly bigger house is over $1 million. Most people never calculate this, they just think about whether they can afford the monthly payment difference. Let me add up all the small stuff too, because this is where it gets really brutal. Financing furniture at $80 a month for 10 years costs you $9,600, but the opportunity cost is $130,000. Constant phone upgrades at $40 a month for 40 years is $19,200 spent, but $180,000 in opportunity cost. Premium subscriptions and services at $200 a month for 40 years is $96,000 spent, but $900,000 in opportunity cost. Each one of these seems tiny when you think about it monthly. Combined, the opportunity cost is $2,200,000. Just small monthly payments across normal life expenses equals millions in lost retirement wealth. Here's another trap people fall into. Refinancing to lower the monthly payment. You've got 20 years left on your mortgage and rates drop, so you refinance to a new 30-year loan. Your monthly payment goes down $200 and that feels like a win. But you just restarted the clock. You're going to be paying that mortgage for 45 total years instead of the original 30. You saved $200 a month and lost $400,000 total. The bank absolutely loves when you do this. You should hate it. Before any financed purchase, you need to ask 3 questions. What's the total cost, including all interest? What's the opportunity cost if I invested this money instead? Will 65-year-old me thank 30-year-old me for this decision? Most purchases fail this test completely. The ones that pass, you buy them with clarity and confidence. Here's an example that makes it extremely real. A $600 a month decision, whether that's a car payment or a bigger house payment or whatever. That seems manageable right now when you're 30 years old and making decent money. But 65-year-old, you just lost $1,700,000 because of that decision. That's the difference between retiring at 62 and working until 73. That's the difference between a comfortable retirement and a desperate one. Monthly payment thinking literally steals your future from you, one affordable payment at a time. How to think differently. Here's how to rewire your brain with 4 rules that reverse everything. Rule 1, total cost first, monthly payment never. Flip the question order completely. Always ask what's the total cost and is this worth it? Then can I afford this in cash or near cash? Monthly payment is the last question if you ask it at all. If you can't afford something without financing, you can't actually afford it. Houses are the only exception, and even then buy conservatively. Rule 2, the 15-year mortgage standard. If you can't afford a 15-year mortgage, the house is too expensive. People say 30-year mortgages give flexibility, but they give poverty. 15 years forces you to buy what you can actually afford and saves $500,000 to $700,000 in interest. You're mortgage-free in your early 40s instead of mid-50s. Financial freedom arrives 15 years earlier. Rule 3, used cars only. Buy 3-year-old cars with cash and drive them 10-plus years. Someone else eats the depreciation, you keep the value. Never having a car payment means investing $550 monthly. Over 40 years, that's $1,900,000 in retirement. Nobody at your retirement party cares what you drove at 35. They care whether you can afford to retire. Rule 4, the future self question. Before every financial decision, ask, will 65-year-old me thank current me for this? Car payment? No. Bigger house than needed? Number. Investing instead? Yes. Your future self lives with these consequences. Give them a vote. The mindset shift is simple. Stop thinking, can I afford the payment? Start thinking, what's the total cost over time? Stop optimizing for what can I have now? Start optimizing for what will I have at 65. Monthly payments feel like freedom because they seem affordable. They're actually handcuffs keeping you working forever. The uncomfortable truth is this thinking means constant no's. No to the car you want, no to the house you qualify for, no to furniture you could finance, but it's saying yes to not being desperate at 65. Yes to retiring by choice instead of physical necessity. Yes to enjoying retirement instead of surviving it. Every no to a monthly payment today is a yes to freedom tomorrow. The 40-year money mistake is optimizing for monthly payments instead of total cost. At 25, at 35, at 45, this seems completely harmless. Every payment is affordable. Every decision is reasonable. At 65, it's devastating. You can't out-earn a bad decision-making framework. Person A and Person B in our example had identical incomes. Person B retired with $2.4 million. Person A has $420,000 and still has to work. Same income, same career path, wildly different outcomes. And the mistake wasn't obvious until way too late to fix it. If you're under 50, you can still fix this. You can change the question you ask yourself. Stop asking, can I afford the payment? Start asking, what's the total cost and what's the opportunity cost? This one shift changes absolutely everything. Keep thinking in monthly payments and you'll work until 70 plus and struggle through retirement. Switch to total cost thinking, and you'll retire comfortably and actually enjoy the last third of your life. It's literally the difference between freedom and desperation. If this fundamentally changed how you see money, hit that like button right now. Subscribe for more financial reality that nobody else is willing to tell you. Comment below and let me know, what's your biggest monthly payment regret?